Hello everybody, and you're all welcome to Python Programming Made Simple. In today's lesson, we will be looking at the while loop. We will go further to look at using the break statement in a while loop, and we will end with using the continual statement in a while loop. I encourage you to please stay tuned. Let's do this. Now, in programming, or in Python programming, there are times where you want to repeat some particular lines of code several times, or you want the output of a particular line of code to be repeated several times. Now, you could copy and paste that particular line of code. That would in return give you several outputs. But when it comes to more than 5 or more than 10 outputs you require, it becomes very tiring. Now, the while loop in Python helps with this problem. Now, it helps you repeat a block of code multiple times. So, for example, I want to print Python made simple. Okay, so saving this and running. Yes, I have Python made simple. Now, what if I want to print Python made simple 5 times? It would mean I write Python made simple 5 times. So like this. So saving this and run, you get to understand the point I'm making. Okay, good. Now, so using the while loop, for example, I being equal to 1. So with a while condition, which is I less than or equal to 5, should print Python made simple using an increment of I plus 1. So let's save this and run and see what happens. So straight ahead, it goes to print Python made simple 5 times. We've done this without so much stress. So this is what while loop can help you do. Now we can try another example. Let's say we want to print out numbers between 5 and 10. So starting at 5, we say that for I, while I is less than or equal to 10, it should print the value of I. And using an increment of I plus 1. So saving this and running, you get to understand my point. So it's repeating, it's undertaking this iteration. Starting at 5, it adds 1 to 5, gets 6, 1 to 6, 7, so on till it gets to the condition which says that while I is less than or equal to 10. Now, during this particular loop iteration, as I said earlier, the I variable will get an increment of 1 until it gets to 10. Okay, so we can try another example. So I still being equal to 5, you can say that for I being greater than or equal to 0, I think now we'll have the values. For I being equal to greater than or equal to 0, you should print I, but this time around we want I minus 1. So let's save this and run. Okay, good. So for I being 5, it subtracts 1 from it, we get 4. It continues, but as soon as it gets to the point where I is equal to 0, the iteration ends there. Now, In Python while loop, we have the break statement. The break statement is used to end a while loop. There are times where you enter or create iterations that keep on running till ever. The break statement helps you bring those iterations to an end at a point where you see fit. Now, using this example, let me just edit it a bit. So while true, okay, we should print I. And using an increment of +1, we are saying that if I is greater than or equal to 7, okay, it should print stopping at 7. Then we call on the break statement. So now remember, this current print statement is not part of our while loop. Okay. So let's save this and run and see what we get. Good. So starting at 4, it adds 1 to it. It's not up to or greater than 7, so it continues to 5 to 6. And as soon as the value of I gets to 7, it prints a statement telling us that it's stopping here, and so it stops. Now, moving on to the continual statement in Python. The continual statement stops a current iteration and continues with the next. So you tell Python to stop at a particular point, then it picks up after that point and continues with your iteration. So let's use this example. So we are saying that for I being equal to 1, while I is less than or equal to 5, I plus or equal to 1. If you remember earlier in one of our lessons, I took you through something like this. I plus equal to 1 is the same as I being equal to I plus 1. Okay, so using the if statement, we say if I is equal to 3, okay, it should continue. Print I for us. Then going outside the while loop, it should print loop is finished. Okay, so running this, I know so many people will be wondering why I'm not really using a different compiler and I'm using Python shell. This is really the basics, and I want any beginner starting with Python to have a firm grasp of this. You can install any compiler if you want. That's very cool. So with our continuous statement, you realize that, okay, starting with that increment, it added 1 to I, getting a result of 2. Now, as soon as I got to 3, it skipped that particular iteration, that particular line, and went to the next to continue. So now, it didn't print out the result for I being equal to 3, but then added 1 to 3, which is 4, and printed that out. Continued till it got to the end of the condition and printed loop is finished. So these are the various ways of using the break statement and the continuous statement in a while loop. I thank you very much for sticking with me throughout this particular lesson. I'm most grateful. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. You have a nice time and bye bye.